condition of the king's and the late queen's bodies is identical, completely drained of vitality. Finn, investigate if any blood-draining monsters have appeared in the kingdom recently.
Yes, Your Majesty.
My king is dead. Whose queen am I now?
Dowager Queen Eleanor. Were you speaking to someone? We're going to be late.
This is the only daughter of the king and the late queen. Yet, she inherited none of their beauty. I wasn't speaking to anyone. Let's go. Her name is Snow White, but her skin is far from fair. No, it's still dark and sallow, yet strangely brimming with vitality. Her once thin hair now shines with health. In this harsh, famine-stricken winter, she looks more full of life than she ever did in spring. How peculiar. Let's go. This winter is harsher than ever, so much so that even the king's funeral had to be drastically simplified. I, a mere 18-year-old girl, had to personally bid farewell to my king and bear the weight of a kingdom in chaos, ravaged by famine and the sudden loss of its ruler. Though I am weary, my king, rest assured, I will care for your subjects and make those who wronged you pay. Snow White, what are you doing? I awoke at midnight to a sharp, painful bite and was greeted by a horrifying sight. Snow White was drinking my blood, savoring it as if it were nectar. The vivid crimson of the blood made her face glow with a sinister allure, like that of a demon.
I was hungry, but I feel much better now.
Snow White left my room as if nothing had happened, leaving behind a hideous wound on my hand. I recited an incantation to heal myself. The wound healed, but 2 shriveled black spots, like age marks, remained on my hand. Magic Mirror, tell me, what has afflicted my hand?
This is no ordinary bite. Your magic cannot fully heal it. However, you can find a special ointment from the old witch in the city.
The magic mirror cannot directly reveal the truth, but it never lies. Snow White is no ordinary girl. I must warn Finn to keep an eye on her. Following the mirror's guidance, I found the old witch in an isolated alley. Without a word from me, she handed over what I needed. With the ointment in hand, I hurried back to the palace. I couldn't stand the ugly signs of aging on my hand for another moment. The magic mirror didn't deceive me. The cream truly restored my skin, making it smoother and more radiant than before. Once again, I was the flawless young woman, the most beautiful in the kingdom. The cries of young women echoed in my mind, accompanied by the mirror's voice.
Once, you were the fairest of all. But now, Snow White is 1,000 times fairer than you.
Are you mad? That ugly girl cannot compare to me! The next morning, the ministers reported mysterious disappearances of beautiful young women in the capital. But my restless night left me too weary to think clearly. I decided to retire to my chambers early, but fate had other plans. I ran into Snow White. Her appearance startled me. She had indeed grown more beautiful. Though her skin remained dark, it exuded an enigmatic charm. Doubt crept into my mind. Could the mirror's words be true? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
Once, you were the fairest of all, but now, Snow White surpasses you.
Are you blind?
Once, you were the fairest of all, but now, Snow White surpasses you.
Jealousy is a shadow in every woman's heart, especially for one as beautiful as I. Now, it consumed me entirely. I obsessively applied the cream to my face, feeling it seep into my skin, making it smoother and more supple. Then a chilling thought struck me. If I needed this cream to enhance my beauty, what had Snow White used to achieve her transformation? Could it truly be fresh blood and flesh that sustained her?
That's correct, Your Majesty.
Finn, what is that in your hands? Is that a heart?
This is Snow White's heart. It still beats, even outside her chest. She's a demon. She used this fake magic mirror to manipulate you.
Once you were the fairest of all, but now Snow White surpasses you.
No! How can this be?
I've been observing Snow White and discovered she's been kidnapping the beautiful women of the capital.
Oh God! Finn! Finn was slain before my very eyes.
Ha! Dare to take my heart, and you'll pay with yours.
Snow White appeared before me, grotesque and demonic, holding my magic mirror. You monster! You killed your own parents! Mirror, return to me and punish her!
What's in my hands belongs to me. The mirror's soul has long been under my control. I switched and manipulated the magic mirror long ago, using it to hunt down the most beautiful women in the kingdom. I used their souls to erase the mirror's mind, and their flesh to create the cursed cream. Surprised, aren't you? The miraculous cream you've been using is made from the flesh and blood of those poor girls.
Rage surged through me. I had to stop her. For the king, for Finn, for the innocent girls, and for the kingdom's safety. But as I cast a spell, my skin began to peel, pain tearing through me.
The more magic you use, the faster the cream's effects will take hold. Eleanor, you're just a jealous, petty woman. This kingdom deserves to be ruled by someone as talented and beautiful as me.
Snow White has disappeared. Send people to find her immediately. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
You are the fairest of them all, Snow White.
I can't remember how many times I've had this dream, but the fear and helplessness still make my heart ache. That's right. I'm terrified, absolutely haunted by spiders. As a child, I lived on my dad's insect farm, surrounded by spiders. The fear nearly gave me a fatal heart attack, leading my parents to divorce. Now, I live with my mum. My graduation is soon, but Dad didn't reply to my invitation. His last email, 2 weeks ago, proudly announced his success with mutant spider research. I have a bad feeling something went wrong with my dad's research. I've decided to go to his farm and make sure he's safe. It's been almost 10 years since I last set foot in this house. The house was pitch dark, damp, and eerily silent, with only my voice echoing as I cautiously called out, "Dad!" There was just one place left to check. Taking a deep breath, I tried to suppress my fear and turn the doorknob. Suddenly, a swarm of black spiders scurried out from behind the door. My body froze, trembling as I collapsed to the floor. At that moment, someone stepped out of the basement. It was my dad, George, the biologist, silently blowing a strange flute that sent the spiders retreating into the basement. Dad helped me up, his frail hand pale with black veins and dark, sharp hairs like a spider's bristles. Something was definitely wrong with him.
Why are you here, Jax?
I handed him the invitation card. He took it without a word, his cold demeanor cutting deep. Then I noticed something stuck on his eye. Instinctively, I reached out to remove it. It was a strand of spider silk, not something accidentally caught in his eye, but something coming from inside it. Dad jerked back, clearly annoyed by my actions, and rubbed his eye. The strand of silk disappeared without a trace. Dad, my car broke down. Can I stay here for the night?
Fine. But stay in your room. Don't wander around.
Seeing Dad's odd behavior, I knew something was wrong, likely because of the spiders. I made an excuse to stay and find out. As a meticulous researcher, I figured Dad would have recorded his entire experiment. I was right. Taking a deep breath, I opened the first folder. Skipping the confusing reports, I clicked on the first video, and it terrified me. The clip showed a female spider carrying an enormous egg sac. The spider screamed in pain, like a woman about to give birth. But spiders lay eggs, don't they? My suspicions were quickly confirmed. I watched as a massive baby spider broke out of the egg, dragging its mother's insides with it. The hungry spider rushed to its first meal, while the mother lay weak, helpless, and still as her young devoured her. It was so cold-blooded, so cruel. It was more disgusting than any spider or monster I had ever imagined. It took me a moment to regain my composure. I opened the final video, but what I saw was even worse. I was sure this spider was no longer a normal creature. Thinking about how this mutated spider had been born, I feared for my dad. What would happen when those eggs hatched? Suddenly, my dad appeared in front of me, his face furious.
Jax! What are you doing here?
I forced down my fear and rushed to tear off his shirt, hoping what I had seen was just a scene from a sci-fi movie. But I was wrong. These spiders were more dangerous than I had imagined. Each egg was stuck to my dad's skin, with a tiny tentacle piercing his spine. They were living and growing off his spinal fluid. The fear in my chest grew stronger, and I felt dizzy, my hands and legs trembling uncontrollably. Looking up at my dad, I noticed his eyes were slowly turning into those of a spider. I heard him gasp and scream at me.
Run! Get out of here!
He still had his mind. He still cared for me. I had to save him, telling myself that. I grabbed a ruler from the desk and rushed toward him. I shoved him to the ground, using all my strength to crush the eggs on his back. One by one, they cracked open and the baby spiders fell, filling the air with the scent of blood and a foul odor. Suddenly, my dad erupted with strength. He shoved me off, screaming,
Don't hurt my children!
"You've lost it, Dad! I'm your son! I'll save you from these monsters!" I yelled, only to realize, in shock, that the man in front of me was no longer the dad I knew. He had fully transformed into a monster. He shielded the baby spiders like a true mother spider, glaring at me as though I were an enemy trying to harm his offspring. The look in his eyes caused me pain and despair. What could I do to save him? But it was too late. The monster, now enormous and with all the terrifying traits of a spider, stood before me. My body froze, even breathing felt difficult, and my heart began to ache again. My dad's agonizing scream jolted me back. I turned to see the newborn spiders, driven by instinct, making him their first meal. Survival instinct drove me to run. I tried to drag my dad with me, but it was already too late.